Chapter 8. The smell of motorcycle exhaust hung in the air. Several kids began congratulating Terry and David on getting rid of the two bikers, but their thanks were subdued. Everyone seemed to be in shock. "Nice going," Murphy said. "We did what we had to," said David, wiping his bloody face with a tissue. "Maybe they'll go pick on someone else for a while." "Justine, where's your phone?" said Terry. "We've got to report this to the police." Panic and alarm crossed Justine's face. No police. "But they broke into your house," said David. "They vandalized it. And you heard their threats." "That's all they were, just threats," Justine said. She moved closer to David, put a hand on his arm, and stared directly into his face. "Those boys are bullies," she said. "All swagger and no substance. They wouldn't dare come back after the way you and Terry faced them down." "Well, I don't know," David said uncertainly. "Really, everything's fine now," said Justine. "A few of the decorations are ruined, but so what? What's important is that no one was really hurt." "Alex. Terry. Are you all right?" "Fine," muttered Alex. "I'm okay," said Terry. His cheek hurt where Bobby had punched him, and he suspected there would be a big bruise, but no real harm had been done. "Thank you, all of you, for being so brave," Justine said, turning her smile up to full wattage. A look of mischief crossed her face, and then she added, "Now are you brave enough for the next surprise?" "You mean we're just going to keep going as if nothing happened?" said Angela. "Well, I hope so," said Justine. "If we stop now, Bobby and Marty will have one. Besides," she added, her lovely face turning pouty, "I've worked so hard planning everything. We haven't even had half the surprises yet. We also haven't settled things between the jocks and the wimps," added Murphy Carter. "Of course, if you wimps want to concede defeat now." "No way," said Ricky. "We're just as game as you guys. And for your information, our team has a few more tricks up its sleeve." "Good," said Justine. "Then it's settled. Why don't you all relax for a while? I'll bring out more food. And then in a few minutes we can start the treasure hunt." She disappeared in the direction of the kitchen. Terry was starting to get his second wind and wondered what Justine's next surprise could be. He sneaked a glance at Alex, who was leaning against the wall beside the fireplace, fully recovered from his injury. Alex caught his eye and shrugged. Then he mouthed one word: "Wimp." Terry knew he had to stay on his toes. Alex was still into this dumb contest. That meant Terry had to be too. No way Alex was going to win after everything that had happened. Justine and Philip brought out trays with hot apple cider and cookies, and soon everyone was relaxed and in a party mood again. The tape machine was playing golden oldies from the 50s, and Trisha and Ricky began dancing to At the Hop. Trisha was smiling and seemed happy again. "I love these old songs," Angela said, clapping in time to the music. She leaned back against a corner of the stone fireplace, then gave a little shriek as it shifted and opened. Where the solid stones had been was a human skeleton, its hollow face grinning mindlessly. There were several screams and then the sound of laughter as everyone realized it was another surprise. "I see you've discovered one of our trapdoors," Justine said with her smile. "One of them," said Angela. "You mean there are more?" "Remember," said Justine, "I promised a lot of surprises." "Rad," said Angela. "How you doing, funny face?" Terry turned to Nikki, who was leaning back against the cushions on the sofa beside him, sipping cider. "Okay," she said. "How are you?" She gently touched his cheek where Bobby had hit him. "I'm okay," he said. "I just hope Bobby and Marty don't." He was cut off by a surprised shriek. "What is that?" protested Angela, her face twisted in disgust. "Human brain," said Ricky. He was standing in front of her, innocently holding a dark metal box. "Get real," said Alex. "Where would you get a human brain?" "From my uncle," said Ricky, still innocent. "He runs a medical supply house. He let me borrow it for the party." Angela looked as if she was going to be sick. "Let me see that," Murphy said. "I can't take it out. We'd ruin it," said Ricky, holding the box tighter. "Of course, if you want to touch it." Alex defiantly thrust his hand into the box, then just as quickly pulled it out with a strangled cry. "Sort of slimy, isn't it?" said Ricky smugly. "Anyone else want to try?" "Sure," said David. He walked up to Ricky, pretended to put his hand in the box, but grabbed it instead and turned it upside down. The contents slithered out, landing on the stone hearth with a sickening plop. Some brains, said David. Looks like cold spaghetti to me. Gotcha. No, I gotcha first, said Ricky. Angela and Alex both thought it was brains. No, we didn't, protested Alex. We were just putting you on. This is one for the jock team. The argument about whose gotcha it was stopped when Justine rang a little bell. May I have your attention? She was standing in front of the fire, and outlined in light, it was almost possible to believe she was a vampire. To one side of the fireplace, her Uncle Philip sat slouched on a stool, the artificial tear sparkling on his sad clown's face. Is everyone back in the groove, ready to party? Justine asked. Without waiting for an answer, she went on. It's time for the next surprise. This one is a treasure hunt, but it's not like any treasure hunt you've ever heard of. A treasure hunt, exclaimed Tricia. What fun! Get real, said Murphy. Treasure hunts are for little kids and wimps. Justine, still smiling, turned to Murphy. You might not think so when you see the list of items, she said teasingly. But, of course, no one has to participate. In fact, it could be a little dangerous. This treasure hunt is only for those who are really brave. Hey, I never said I wouldn't participate, said Murphy. Good, said Justine, her cat-green eyes sparkling with excitement. She began passing out a photocopied list. This is a list of the items Uncle Philip and I have hidden around the mansion, she went on. There are treasures in every room, on both floors and in the attic and basement. Whichever team finds the most treasures by midnight will win a special prize. Everyone grabbed the lists and prepared to rush off, but Justine's voice stopped them. One more thing, she added. Please be careful. After all, anything can happen on Halloween. Tricia found the first treasure before anyone had even left the living room. While Justine was still explaining the rules, Tricia carefully removed the food still sitting on the casket and opened it to reveal a bundle of bones wrapped in tattered blue cloth. The hand bones of a mummy. I've got a treasure, she cried. But Justine, is this really from a mummy? Supposedly, said Justine. We picked it up in Egypt. For the next few minutes, everyone checked out the ground floor. There were constant shrieks and laughter as one person after another discovered a new treasure, or a trick. This is great, isn't it? Said David, laughing, as he and Terry simultaneously walked into the pantry from opposite doors. I can't believe all this weird stuff Justine and her uncle have, Terry said. He showed David the only treasure he'd found so far, a hairy tarantula preserved in a glass paperweight. I found this in the toilet tank. I found my treasure in a terrarium, David said, showing Terry a stuffed cobra. At first I thought it was alive because it was moving around. But then I saw it was attached to an electric motor. I'm not even sure I want to find some of this stuff, Terry said, scanning his list. A bottle of blood? Murphy already found that, David said. He was prowling around in the front hall and tripped over a loose floorboard. The bottle was right under it. Catch you later, Terry said. David was a good guy, he realized. Too bad the other jocks weren't more like him. The thought of the jocks made him think of Alex, which made him think of Nikki, and he wondered where she was in this big, spooky house. Maybe he'd run into her. Nikki looked at the list half-heartedly. Even though this was the greatest party she'd ever been to, she wasn't that interested in fun and games. The party still seemed like a mystery to her. Nothing added up. The treasure hunt, she decided, was the perfect chance to explore the mansion freely. She replayed in her mind the conversation she had lip-read when Justine was in the phone booth, and had now decided that it didn't have anything to do with the party. After all, Justine seemed only to care about her guests having a good time. And despite her weird uncle, she was really sweet. But there was still something intriguing about her, and Nikki was determined to find out what it was. She would have felt a little guilty about searching the house, but the treasure hunt gave her the perfect excuse. It wasn't even snooping, not really. She was working her way through the rooms on the top floor. So far, none of them contained anything of interest to her. She entered a large bedroom at the back of the house and switched on the light. She jumped back, her heart pounding, as a huge glowing head dropped in front of her. After a second, she realized it was just another one of Justine's surprises. She switched the light off again, and the head was pulled back up to the ceiling on an automatic reel. After a little searching, she found a lamp and clicked it on, then smiled in satisfaction.